I'm keeping an eye on Radar 3000 as snow is moving into parts of the area, or at least it looks like it's moving into parts of the area. Not all of it is reaching the ground. And then the very latest on an Arctic air mass that's about ready to move in to southern Wisconsin. That's coming up.
Plus, some big changes are coming to the Portage taxi service. We'll tell you why the city says it's having to make the changes.
And later we meet the Henry Vilas Zoo's newest resident and learn more about the important role she'll be playing right here in Madison. And we welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. Good evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. We begin tonight with an update on a deadly shooting at the Harmony Apartments that happened 2 years ago.
A fifth person has now been charged in connection with the shooting of 15-year-old Kaisha Miller and 3 others. 22-year-old Damon Goodwan of Madison is facing several charges, including first-degree intentional homicide as a party to a crime. 4 other men, Javian White, Reginald Sexton, Wilson Clark, and Donovan Douglas, were also charged in this shooting. Those 4 were scheduled to go to trial in October, but proceedings were put on hold after prosecutors discovered that another person may have been involved. Now, a criminal complaint alleges that Goodwan and 4 other men arrived at the Harmony Apartments in a stolen car just before 8:30 p.m. on October 10th back in 2023. And there, they opened fire on a group of teens that included Kaisha Miller. According to the complaint, one of the men identified as Goodwan as one of the shooters. During follow-up interviews with detectives, Goodwan's cash bond is set at $1 million. Some sun earlier today, but snow is on the way. Here's Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington with your forecast.
And that snow is trying to make it to the ground, especially for areas west of Madison and southwest Wisconsin. Crawford County, Grant County, you see some darker blues. I think that snow is likely making it to the ground, but not all that snow out there on Radar 3000 is making it to the ground just quite yet. But I'll explain more about that a little bit later. Nonetheless, still expect that snow to spread towards the east as we get towards 9 o'clock. That snow will move east of Madison over towards Milwaukee, and then we're looking at the potential for some patchy freezing drizzle to mix in overnight tonight, with more snow expected right around that Friday rush hour commute in the morning. We're expecting that greatest impact overnight into the commute on Friday for a couple more slick spots in southern Wisconsin. And then we turn our attention to the bitter cold temperatures, as cold as -35 as we go into Sunday night, Monday morning, and then going into Tuesday morning. When I come back, why some of that snow is not making it to the ground at least yet, and how cold those wind chills will be in your neighborhood early next week, I'll show you in a little bit.
All right, Alex, and what a roller coaster our weather has been lately. We started the week in the 40s. In a few days, we will see those frigidly cold temperatures.
Our Tanisha Shaw talked with local forecasters about the trends of this winter season and what makes this year unique.
The recent up and down temperatures here in Wisconsin is not really unique to the state, but what is different is what you don't see on the ground right now.
But there'll be very big changes from what we had in the early part of this month, no doubt about that.
If you're missing that typical winter weather, it's on the way early next week.
A rise to the mid-teens for high temperatures, so it's going to feel brutal. It'll be a little bit colder than normal, too, for those days.
This season, we've seen highs in the 50s and below zero temperatures. UW professor Jonathan Martin in the School of Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences says that the roller coaster weather is not uncommon this time of the year.
If anyone's at home keeping records of temperatures, they'll be able to find plenty of Januaries where we've had the same kind of roller coaster.
But the lack of snow is something that meteorologists aren't used to seeing in mid-January.
Weird winter because of the lack of snow, but it's not really such a weird winter in terms of roller coasters and temperatures, at least in my 31 years living here.
Reporting in Madison, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Tanisha. And you can track the forecast for yourself on the First Warn Weather app. It has hourly planners, road conditions, and radar. Download this for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather.
Madison police say they've arrested a person involved in a deadly crash with a pedestrian this week. It happened on Packers Avenue about 3:30 in the afternoon Monday. The pedestrian, now identified as 77-year-old Mary Givens of Madison. She died at the hospital later that day. The driver did stay at the scene after the crash. Today, officers arrested the 30-year-old man for operating after revocation, causing death, failure to install an ignition interlock device, and on a probation hold. He's currently being held in the Dane County Jail.
One person is seriously hurt after a vehicle hit a horse-drawn buggy in Monroe County this morning. It happened about 8 a.m. on Highway 33 near Opera Road in the town of Sheldon. That's about 20 miles south of Sparta. An initial investigation shows the vehicle was passing the buggy when the buggy turned in front of the vehicle in an attempt to enter a driveway. The crash closed that highway for about an hour.
A Madison man heading to federal prison after being found with a loaded gun and a device that would make it fully automatic. Back in October, 31-year-old Javon Smith of Madison pleaded guilty to possessing a firearm as a convicted felon. He'll spend 5 years behind bars along with 3 years supervision. Fitchburg police say they found Smith sleeping in a car in McKee Farms Park back in June. When they searched the car, they allegedly found a loaded handgun with a machine gun conversion device. Smith was convicted in 2019 of heroin trafficking, eluding an officer, and recklessly endangering safety. And because of that conviction, he's barred from possessing firearms or ammunition.
A Milwaukee father is found guilty tonight of child neglect for locking his 6 children in a storage unit. Charles DePriest says he and his partner were struggling last summer, relying on shelters and relatives in order to house their 6 children. But he says on September 15th, they used their storage unit to sleep while they stayed in his vehicle. Police found him and his partner sleeping in the car an hour after they found their 6 children between the ages of 9 and 2 months old, alone in the locked storage unit. During closing arguments, the state says the couple had other options for shelter that night.
These charges are not about poverty, they are about responsibility. And the evidence shows that these children did not have to be locked inside that storage unit that night.
DePriest is set to be sentenced in April. Now, the mother was also charged, but she took a plea deal last week. She pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of neglecting a child and had 4 felony counts dropped. She will be sentenced in March.
Cities across the state are experiencing issues due to the declining need for taxi cabs.
In Portage, as of January 1st, substantial changes were made to the service, along with the city's new contracted provider, Go Right Way. Our reporter Nash Dara has the story.
Eric and Sarah, smaller cities across towns in Wisconsin are facing challenges as a result of cuts made in the taxi cab industry. In Portage, hours have been changed, causing the services of its cab company to stop working at 10 p.m. And in towns where public transportation and minimal rideshare exist, it makes it much more difficult and dangerous for people to commute without reliable transportation. The city shared it paid $120,000 for 35,000 hours of taxi service in 2024. Their projection for 2026 is spending $113,000 for just 15,000 hours, showing how costly the service has become. A statement shared by the city mayor, Matt Feeney, said maintaining the taxi service is vital to the city of Portage. However, cost increases and declining ridership have made it impossible to continue this service with current hours. A driver for the company also voiced their concerns for who may be affected by this change, including themselves, who have dealt with the repercussions of the cuts while also navigating the new hours and allotted driving slots.
All right, Nash, thank you. Still ahead on News 3 Now at 6, what the CDC says is behind a multi-state outbreak of salmonella.
Plus, we take a look at President Trump's new health care plan revealed today. Stick around.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Welcome back. The CDC is warning of a multi-state outbreak of salmonella infections linked to a supplement. Health officials in several states are collecting information on Live It Up Super Greens supplement powder. It includes the original and wild berry flavors with expiration dates between October of 2026 and January of 28. So far, data shows the product may be contaminated with salmonella. The CDC says at least 45 people have gotten sick in 21 states, 11 people here in Wisconsin, 2 of whom were hospitalized. Officials say if you have the supplement powder, either throw it out or return it to the store.
President Trump unveiling his new health care plan today. The multi-pronged proposal aims to lower drug prices and reduce health insurance premiums. It also includes a plan to send money directly to consumers as opposed to insurers, and it aims to increase price transparency. The proposal comes after subsidies for the Affordable Care Act expired at the end of the year. About 22 million people benefited from those enhanced tax credits. A nonpartisan health policy research group, KFF, says without those credits, premiums paid by consumers will more than double this year.
6 medical groups are asking the courts to reverse the CDC's new recommendations for childhood vaccinations. Last week, you may remember the Health and Human Services Department announced changes to the vaccine schedule. They narrowed recommendations for vaccinations against meningococcal disease, hepatitis A and B to people at higher risk. And they also recommend that people who want vaccinations against the flu, COVID-19, and rotavirus consult with a healthcare provider first. These medical groups are asking a federal judge to restore to the old vaccine schedule before the changes were made. They're also looking to stop next month's scheduled meeting of the CDC's independent vaccine advisors.
Wisconsin's first member-owned nonprofit healthcare co-op is expanding. Group Health Cooperative of South Central Wisconsin now partnering with providers in Rock County. The co-op has more than 70,000 members. The expansion gives members access to treatment at clinics, including the Beloit Health System, Edgerton Hospital and Health Services, UW Health's Janesville Clinic, and Mercy Health. Still ahead, the cold weather. It can be a pain, but for some it can actually lead to a headache. How you can protect yourself.
Plus, the Henry Vilas Zoo welcomes its newest resident. There she is, why the addition is so important to the future of the species.
And the First Warn Weather Team has been tracking bitterly cold temperatures this whole week. Alex is back with when the dangerous cold moves into our area.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
The Henry Vilas Zoo is welcoming its newest resident.
Earlier today, Nora the polar bear made her public debut. The 10-year-old bear comes all the way from the state of Oregon. She arrived in Madison on Tuesday and is already enjoying the pool and snacks at Henry Vilas Zoo. Nora comes to Madison as part of a plan from the Polar Bear Population Alliance. The zoo is hoping Nora will mate and raise cubs with Siku, the bear's male bear, the zoo's male bear. Polar bears are considered a vulnerable species.
There are only 36 polar bears in U.S. zoos, and we have 3 of them, and we have a breeding facility to produce more cubs.
So once Nora gets used to her surroundings, she will join Siku and the other zoo's polar bear, Barrett, in the polar bear habitat. And perfect bear weather right now, especially these guys and gals. I'm sure they're loving it, Alex.
They're going to feel right at home. I've got alert day conditions for dangerous cold for us humans in the forecast that those polar bears are probably going to say. This is just like home, as I mentioned. Minus 35. That's how cold our wind chills are going to get Sunday night, going into Monday morning, going into Tuesday morning. And let's take a look at those wind gusts that we're expecting as part of the equation. Cold temperatures, wind gusts at times of 25 to 35 miles per hour. Sunday going on into Monday. And then this is the wind chills you get. Minus 32 in Madison, minus 33 in Camp Douglas, minus 29 in Janesville. Fast forward to Tuesday morning, and we got minus 25 to minus 30 for wind chills again Tuesday morning. So get prepared for that bitterly cold air. But as Professor John Martin was saying earlier in our newscast, while we still can get the deep cold and we can still get cold wind chills, just doesn't last quite as long as it once used to do. And speaking of cold, what about the snow out there? Radar 3000 lit up with snow here. Looks like it's snowing across much of the area from the Dells to Madison, west to Prairie du Chien, over towards Platteville. As we zoom in here to Dane County, we're right here on the southwest side of Madison. I just went out on the patio. Nothing's falling right now. As we go off towards the west right now, Dodgeville. Looks like it's snowing in Dodgeville, or at least some flurries out there. But I'm going to step forward here. Let's look at our First Warn weather cam in Dodgeville. I'm going to just take a moment to review the scene here. I don't see anything falling in our First Warn weather cam in Dodgeville right now. Well, something's going on here. It's the relative humidity. It's dry out there. The snow is battling dry air. You got to go out to the west to Decorah, where we have 100% relative humidity. That's where precipitation, that's where that snow is making it to the ground. And eventually it will make it to the ground across southern Wisconsin. But that snow is falling through the dry air. Eventually will moisten that, what's called that atmospheric profile up, and we will eventually get that snow to make it to the ground. But this initial band of snow here may be struggling some as it moves across southern Wisconsin because of the dry air. Behind it, we have a chance of freezing drizzle tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. Good chance of light snow. The atmosphere will have moistened up, so to speak, so likely seeing that light snow as we head towards 6 o'clock on Friday morning, and then scattered snow showers throughout the daytime on Friday, adding up in total here over the course of 24 to 36 hours, perhaps an inch or two. So not a big snowstorm, but enough to cause some slick spots. Let's break that down here. First, we got that light snow over the course of this evening. Patchy freezing drizzle mixing in overnight. When you lose the ice crystals, the snowflakes, that's when you get the chance for those droplets in the form of freezing drizzle. So that's why we're expecting the greatest impact of conditions to be from late evening through the morning commute on Friday. Still chances for slick spots in the afternoon on Friday, as well as that light snow continues and briefly reduced visibilities. 20s for lows tonight, highs in the 30s on Friday. Enjoy the 32 to 33 degree temperatures while they last, because that's it. After this, then we really start to cool on down after highs, planning the rest of our day on Friday, getting up to around 33, 34 degrees. Rug gets pulled right out from underneath us by the time we get to early next week. We've got alert day conditions Sunday night going into Monday morning, going into Tuesday morning. So Martin Luther King Day is going to be a bitterly cold day in southern Wisconsin. But the good news is it only lasts 2 days. So the real bitter stuff is Monday and Tuesday, and then we make a little bit of moderation in those temperatures.
All right, Alex, thank you. And the dropping temperatures can have a major impact on anyone's body, but for the millions of migraine sufferers in the U.S., the cold can also trigger an attack. According to health experts, winter weather can trigger vessels in the brain to dilate, causing inflammation and lead to sinus pressure. Both can increase the number of migraines. Avoiding those attacks starts with being aware of what typically sparks them, like certain foods, caffeine, stress, sleep issues, and painkillers.
Too much over-the-counter painkillers for migraine patients can have a rebound effect. So suddenly they get into what we call rebound headaches. So typically we recommend no more than 2 to 3 times a week, and then really trying to minimize the other factors.
And it's also important for migraine sufferers to reduce stress and manage mental health issues like anxiety or depression, which can trigger or worsen an attack.
Well, Spotify subscribers are going to have to pay more for that service starting next month. Premium plans are going from $12 a month to $13, and students will see the monthly bill go from $6 to $7. If you have Spotify's Duo or Family plan, those are going up by $2 a month. And this is the first price adjustment Spotify has made since June of 2024.
And Crumble Cookies says it's testing donuts. Last week, rumors started to swirl on social media about the company developing a line of pastries. The caveat is that doesn't necessarily mean its stores will be selling them anytime soon, or maybe ever. Right now, the donuts are only in the early internal testing phase. Crumble says it does not have any plans to launch them just yet. And Progresso is bringing back its hard candy-like soup drops for National Soup Month. The flavors are chicken noodle, tomato basil, and beef pot roast. The company offering a bundle which includes a can of soup, and it's available while supplies last through Walmart.
I think I'll stick to my real soup tonight. Anyway, moving on. The NFL playoffs are right here on CBS this Saturday. Be sure to have some soup while you watch Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills head to Colorado to take on the Denver Broncos. The winner heads to the AFC Championship game, and kickoff is set for 3:30. We are excited for that one.
And Andrew is here with a look at sports.
Yeah, and something maybe a little bit better than, those soup, I don't even want to talk about that anymore. This is awesome, though. Still to come in sports, the former Badger and Waukesha native that had a historic rookie season in the NFL sees his hard work pay off. Next on News 3 Now.
And now, News 3 Now Sports, brought to you by TDS Telecom.
Anytime that 2 of the top 4 teams in the country face off, it is a big deal. But when you add in the fact that the last time Wisconsin and Michigan State men's hockey met, the Badgers swept #1 Sparty at their barn. But if Mike Hastings knows one thing about tonight's matchup, that it's not going to be an automatic win just because they beat Sparty. No, it will be the ultimate test.
I've got a lot of respect for how they do things. They're good at what they do, and so we want to judge ourselves against the best, and the best way to do that is play them, and we're playing them at a very important time for both of us. And so it's a great opportunity for us to look in a mirror a little bit and see where we're at.
There have been a handful of players that Luke Fickell inherited at Wisconsin that left the program after playing with him and went on to have massive success. There is no better example than Chimere Dike. The Waukesha native wasn't used much as a junior, as a Badger, and transferred to Florida before being selected in the 4th round of the NFL draft and setting the NFL's record for all-purpose yards by a rookie. For that, he was named the NFL's first-team All-Pro as a returner, and here is his reaction.
You are first-team Associated Press All-Pro.
Oh, no way, dude. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Congratulations, man.
That's one I think that, every player wants is to be, all pro one day. And that was one of the goals I set in the beginning of the season for my career. So to be able to be that, my first year, I'm just thankful.
Oh, and by the way, Chimere Dike appeared more than a half dozen times on the Wisconsin Huddle. And speaking of that, this week's guest, Shea Bolin, she's carving out her own path too, helping Wisconsin women's basketball reach new heights that they haven't seen in over a decade, something they'll try to continue tonight. Now, when she came to Madison, she bought into a vision and to a place that had more in store.
I think really just the belief that we could turn the program around. A new coaching staff comes in, and Coach P was so confident in her vision for this program. And this place is so incredible. It have the most amazing fan base. All these, sports are just packing the arenas with fans, and it hasn't been that way for women's basketball. And I think that we all just believe that it can get there.
Sticking with hoops, the Bucks travel to Texas tonight to play Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. You can watch it free and over the air on our sister station, Television Wisconsin.
Do you think Jim DK thanked the Wisconsin Huddle for making him leading tonight?
I think if he didn't, he probably
would not have been all pro.
No way.
Congrats to him. Thanks for joining us at 6. Entertainment Tonight's next.
We'll see you back here on News 3 Now at 10. Have a good night.